And ladies and gentlemen, hello. It's nice to be here. I get all fired up on this kind of thing. The art of storytelling is a beautiful practice. Tonight we've seen a lot of great speakers. Filling my tank, really, like there's so many different concepts and ideas on community, passion, enthusiasm, and just expanding our basic knowledge. Coming up last, well, it's kind of intimidating. However, and I told my story, how skiing has saved my life, the condensed version. And I'm going to hammer my story into 14 minutes and 25 seconds.
Back in 2004, aspiring pro skier and friend of mine, Josh Dueck, broke his back when a flip on skis went tragically wrong. He ended up at T11 full paraplegic, which pretty much means that he had no feeling in his body from about this point down. Last year, we worked on a documentary film together called The Freedom Chair. And during filming, Josh just blew me away with what he was able to do on a sit ski. And while we were out filming, the whole time, Josh kept talking about wanting to go upside down on snow again. So here we are in Whistler, and we're going to try and make it happen.
Let me get back to that, but given it's a life story, let me start at the very beginning. I grew up in this very quaint, ideal mountain town based in mining and a little bit of redneckism. Kimberley, BC, great place to be at the confluence of the Rocky Mountains, the Purcells, and the Selkirks. Growing up, kids did everything. They played, they biked, they skied, they played hockey. I didn't, unfortunately, have a chance to really partake in any of that. I grew up on the outskirts of town and on the edge of poverty. My family was pretty poor. And my whole childhood, I just looked out the window with wonder and curiosity of what it might be like to experience that one day. And by chance, school field trip happened when I was 11 or 12 years old. Had a chance to go skiing and experience for the very first time. And it meant the world to me, probably because I grew up staring at the hill every single day. And finally having a chance to give it a go was amazing. And it clicked. Something resonated very deeply within me. And the mountains were speaking. The sport of sliding down the hill was just, it was everything. And I knew then and there, the rest of my life would be dedicated to this sport. And as I came close to the edge of high school, my parents said, well, what are you going to do when you graduate? I said, I'm going to be a professional ski bum. I'm going to live in a van down by a river. And they said, no, you're not. And we compromised. They said, if you get a summer job, earn enough money, you can join the provincial ski team, BC Freestyle, and you can do that for a little bit. I did. 4 years in, actually was pretty good. Not good enough to make the national team, but good enough that I had a great time. And more importantly, it gave me a sense of community and friendship with all the other like-minded people that loved to play in the mountains. And really, that was something that I was truly craving my whole life. Now, upon retirement, I wasn't ready to give up on the sport. There's still a lot of skiing left in me, so I got back into coaching. And at first, it was just like, oh, maybe I'll coach a little bit, and it'll give me a chance to keep the tools sharp, save up a little bit of money, and then maybe one day I'll have a chance to be a professional skier as per the original dream. Well, getting into coaching, I realized that, wow, maybe this is actually my true calling. I loved it. I was able to share my passion for the sport and help this next generation skiers achieve some of their goals. And see, we heard about leadership today a little bit earlier on, and man, it's such a cool experience to be able to see these people reach their goals and have fun. Get into coaching, and a couple years into it, just was being an idiot. 23-year-old, youthful invincibility got the better of me, and I was about to demonstrate a jump to a group of my athletes, came down the in-run and was going too fast. And I knew everything in my body was gripping tightly, and I'm like, okay, well. But in my mind, I'm like, just send it. Don't be a wuss about things. So I ended up launching off the end of the jump, and in the air, I knew it was going to be bad. Ended up overshooting the landing hill, over-rotating the front flip, landed on my chest, dislocated my back, was knocked unconscious by the back of my ski boots. When I regained consciousness a few minutes later, I couldn't move, I couldn't feel anything, and that in itself was terrifying. But what made the situation so much worse was the look on all the kids' faces when they were staring at me like, They knew something horrible had happened that day. And for the first time in my life, I actually recognized the impact that my actions would have on other people. This ripple effect happened, and I wasn't the only person that was traumatized that day. So I get to the hospital. The doctor knows I'm a skier, looks at the x-rays, determines that I have dislocated my back, I've severed my spinal cord, and I'm never going to be able to walk again. Comes into the room, and he's like, you know what, Josh? You're going to rock the world in a wheelchair, and before you know it, we're going to have you back in the mountains riding a sit ski with all your friends. In the darkest moment of my life, he gave me just a sliver of hope. They shipped me out to Vancouver, performed this crazy surgery. I'm in a world of hurt. And this girl comes into the intensive care unit. She looks in, she said, hey, do you mind if I can come hang? Can I come in? I'm like, wow, what brings you here? Oh, you know what? There's a coaching photo that I should have showed you. This girl was somebody that I was really attracted to, totally into. She was a ripping snowboarder, awesome chick. Smart, too, because she knew better than to get involved with an animal like me. Totally wild in my younger days, and she saw, she didn't want to be around that. But when she heard my accident, she quit her job, bought a one-way bus ticket, came to the hospital, not really knowing what she was going to do. That she just wanted to be there to support a friend. And man, oh man, this babe comes in. I'm like, what up? 10 years later, she is now my wife and the mother of our daughter. So I scored big time. And bravo, nailed that one. She's great. That was probably the best move in my life, convincing her that marrying me was a good idea. But really, the point of that is love and hope are very, very powerful tools in creating change. And I'm not going to dumb down how difficult it is to acquire to a disability or how difficult it is every single day for me to live with a disability. It's tough. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on some other things. I did get back on snow. I did learn how to ski. And right away, I decided that I wanted to revisit my old goals. I wanted to go all the way. I wanted to represent Canada, this time as a Paralympian. You might think that moment right there was like all time, the highlight experience of my journey to 2010. And arguably, I'm pretty stoked. And I'm pretty excited to be in Whistler because Podium Plaza is just across the street, and it was like, whoa! I was so fired up. I had that bouquet of flowers going in the air, and there's hundreds of people lined up in the rain, and it was pretty darn cool. But for me, this is the moment that stands out. It was that collective energy, that group environment, that celebration of something when we're all focused towards a common goal. There was kids that I was coaching there, my family, my friends from all aspects of my life came up, showed out, they put on these t-shirts on, Go Josh Go, and man, oh man, it was so, I could talk all day about how amazing it was to connect into that energy, to let it channel through me, through my breath, and effectively put down a performance of a lifetime. Lucky. Very, very lucky. I figured right after the games, I was just going to be signing fat deals and become the professional skier I always dreamed of. Oh, man. I did not see this coming. Life after a big event or a big goal can often be hard. Everything got quiet. I was suddenly, for the first time in my life, devoid of any goals and started drinking a little more than I normally do. Which means I was making it a priority in my life, and it nearly pushed my beautiful wife out. She's like, make a choice, it's me or the booze. I lost my passion for competition and for skiing, and I was just kind of wandering around aimlessly until my buddy who introduced me at the very beginning, Mike Douglas, you might know who he is, said, yo, Dueck, can you ski POW in your sit ski? I'm like, wow, but can I ski POW in my sit ski? I can give it a shot. And I was really, really hyped to meet this icon, somebody that I looked up to in the sport, and he was asking me to go on a little filming trip, which was going to be a little 3-minute webisode for Solomon Free Ski TV, which turned into a longer, short documentary called The Freedom Chair, and we had ourselves a really good time. And it gave me an opportunity to look at the sport in a slightly different way that hadn't been explored before. So I felt like a little bit of a pioneer. I was having some fun, hanging out with the guys that I really looked up to and people that were really good friends of mine. And of course, the conversation of the backflip came into play. Whoa, this backflip. For me, it's been the scariest thing that I've ever contemplated. The months leading up to it in preparation had me wondering every day, is this worth it? One of the things that I kept going back to is what a great opportunity to to talk about the power of intuition. Now, I talk about it a lot in the expanded version of my story. When I came into that jump to do the front flip, I knew intuitively it was a bad idea. Youthful sense of invincibility, bravado, ego, overrode that, flat out, went off the jump. I wanted to know if I was to approach something like this, would I have the mindfulness to actually look at it logically, manage the fear, which I get a kick out of, and if it was feeling right, go for it, and if it wasn't, don't. Had the support of a lot of people, really open-minded folks, and we had the support of Whistler Blackcomb. They set up this airbag for us, let us play. It was an incredibly powerful day to see that it was actually possible. On the airbag, we hit it 10 out of 10 times. I thought it was going to be a bit of a huck and hope. Turned out that those little arm swings are giving me the control that I needed. We were hyped, super hyped. Didn't happen right away. First couple efforts, we went into the backcountry, we backed out.
Snow was going to leave me the biggest margin for error.
Thank you. That was a very special moment in time for me. And of course, this image, that experience, that jump really brought a lot of attention to the world of sit ski, to what I was doing, and left me facing a very big question: what's next? I trembled at the question. Well, what do you mean, what's next, man? Like, wasn't that cool enough? Like, can I not just hang on that for a little bit? But people are like, you gonna do a double? You gonna go ski Alaska? And I'm like, oh, both of them sound neat, but also terrifying. Do you realize that's really scary? Like, no. So I took that energy and that momentum and put it back into design and innovation of a better, safer sit ski. I wanted to take the momentum that I had, create something a little better for more people to get involved in the sport and enjoy it the way I am. We're still working on it. The design process has taken us years. It's been huge amounts of challenges. I wish I had more time to talk about that aspect of it. Long and short of it is I made it through the next couple years, motivated by the backflip, aiming towards Sochi. The road to Sochi wasn't sweet. I contemplated retiring many times and frustration of the equipment, but I'm not here to talk about that right now. I will move on to this moment. The best competition run, the best training run, the best race run I've ever had in my entire life. Sochi 2014. This comes the day after I won a silver in the downhill, which was the 10-year anniversary of when I broke my back, which is kind of a little side fact. But I'm humming here. This is as good as it gets.
In the LW11 class, and Dueck continuing his good form from day one. This could be very, very tight. Can he depose?
After winning silver the day before, I wanted to win. And I've never really articulated that I want to win. I always focus on qualitative versus quantitative goals. Coming down this pitch, so violent, so fast. I think we're doing 110 there. My eyeballs are rattling so hard in my skull, I couldn't see. I make it to the bottom of the pitch. I'm like, holy shit! I'm going for it, and I got a little bit of time before the final pitch coming in. And right here, is a critical spot to set up. And I'm just like, I got this. I got this. I'm running it. I'm cheating the line. I'm going for it.
Full of confidence. No, he's late in it. He's late in it. Oh, Dueck inside of the finish. Can he get
literally, what is that? 3 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters from what arguably would have been a podium finish and maybe a win in Sochi. Now, Bruce kind of gave away the cookie there and said, yeah, I did win a gold. A few days later, I was able to reflect upon that experience and apply it moving forward. Now, the reflection was, I wanted the outcome more than I really appreciated the process. I wanted to win more than I wanted to respect the hill. That last little section there, I knew exactly what I needed to do, and I got so ballistic in my mind that I'm like, fuck, I got it! And I was just charging. And wow, man, when I crashed out there, I was like, oh, that was awesome. That was the best run of my life. I went down to the crowd, and I gave him some love. At the end of the night, I felt sick to my stomach. I was just like, wow, I just really blew it. I wanted to do this for my friends and family back at home. I wanted to have an experience that really brought the spotlight to our sport, and I blew it because I focused too much on the end rather than the process. I had an opportunity to redeem that in Super Combined a few days later, and Super G as well in the morning, and then slalom in the afternoon, and had a chance to fix that line a little bit. And I wasn't the best skier of the day, but I did respect the hill more than the other drivers, and because of that, I had a moment in time where I got to hear the Canadian anthem on an international stage and bring home something pretty special for all the fellow Canadians in the room. Yeah, pretty great time. But there it is, my story in a nutshell. Tried to trim it down to 15 minutes. Looks like I blew that by over a minute. Yikes, don't want to interrupt cocktail hour. The whole point of being up here is skiing has saved my life, and so many times throughout it. It's given me a sense of confidence. It's given me a sense of belonging. It's given me a sense of community. We've heard so many of the other speakers highlight on these values today, and I think it's really important in the wake of all of these conversations about how do we develop business, how do we improve our numbers, how do we focus on our bottom line, all important. But let us not ever forget that the mountains are our greatest teachers. They need to be respected. They need to be honored. And great things can be learned in our time on the mountains. Just simply giving somebody a lift ride up to the top to experience what life is like up there is it. Because we only spend moments of our life up high in our peak moments, whatever that may be, whether it be physically on top of a mountain or at the height of a conversation or the peak of a presentation, whatever that might be. We get to enjoy that just for a brief moment, and the rest of our time, we live down in the valley. And that's okay too. But the perspectives that we gather up high in these peak moments are invaluable. And you guys have an opportunity to bring that to the world. And I do believe that the mountains have the power to heal people. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for your time today.